The team climbs a long wooden staircase with the skeletons scanning the area. It feels a bit too quiet. Suddenly, Sungwoo raises his hand, signaling everyone to freeze. At the end of the stairs, they spot a huge orc standing over several fresh corpses. This orc monster looks even bigger than the goblin boss. The MC realizes that this is the next wave of monsters. Without any warning, the monster swings its axe into the ground and charges at them. The MC is used to fighting monsters by now, so he smiles and thinks of it as an opportunity to make new skeletons. The orc goes for the skeletons and smashes them to pieces without warning. After destroying the skeletons, it turns its attention to Jisoo, who awkwardly thrusts her sword forward. The orc's axe crashes into her blade, nearly overwhelming her. As it raises its axe for another strike, one of Sungwoo's skeletons sacrifices itself, shattering to save Jisoo. The MC knows that he can't let the orc get closer, so he commands one of his skeletons to stop it. The one-armed skeleton steps in front of the orc. As the orc tries to hit it, it dodges the attack and lands a blow on his shoulder. The MC calls out to Jisoo and tells her to retreat to stable ground since they can't fight the orc on the stairs. She seems frustrated by how effortlessly the orc broke through her defense. After moving up, the MC tells the group that they can't really get close to the orc. The orc recovers from the hit and starts moving up the stairs. Meanwhile, the group heads for the trees to restrict his movements. The MC tells Jisoo that he will use the skeletons as sacrifices for his plan. Necessary. He has plenty of corpses nearby, so he only needs to look after his mana. The orc begins pushing through the trees trying to catch them. After surrounding the orc, Sungwoo orders his skeletons to strike. At the same time, Hanho hurls a dagger toward the monster. All the skeletons also join in and throw their weapons at the orc. Two of them rush the orc from his blind spots, but the orc manages to hit them both. Surprisingly, the skeletons manage to grab both of his arms and hold them tight. At the same time, the MC and Jisoo rush towards him with their swords. The orc swings at Jisoo, but she evades the attack, slipping beneath his arm and striking his knee with her blade. The orc falls to one knee, just as the MC slices through his right arm. Finally, the one-armed skeleton launches itself into the air and delivers the final blow. The MC sees a window that informs him that he has earned 110 gold for slaying the orc patrol leader. Surprised, he realizes they just took down the orc's boss. Jisoo tells him that the orc wasn't as tough as the previous boss they'd faced. He walks towards the corpse and tries to summon it, but the system informs him that his level isn't high enough to raise medium-tier monsters. He summons some normal skeletons and asks Jisoo what card she picked. She recalls choosing the 3-star Tiger Hunter card because she liked its color. Since his mana is recovered, the MC decides to try his new skills. He uses his ability to craft weapons from bones, producing a sword, blunt weapon, spear, and arrow of the lowest grade. Each weapon can be traded for gold. As he holds the axe, he realizes that the weapons are much lighter than he thought. He throws the axe to one of his skeletons and gives each of them a new weapon. This activates a few more weapon synergy buffs for the skeletons. He lends one of his swords to Hanho and instructs him to give it back to the skeleton later. The group starts making their way down the stairs. On their way, Hanho spots something unusual. In front of them is a sealed purple entrance with a message that they must defeat the boss in 8 minutes, or face a double power boost to all monsters. The mech is frustrated as he realizes that this is the second time they've encountered such a situation. At the same time, an alert appears informing them that orc squads are beginning a hunt, drawn to the scent of hunters and large groups. Jisoo realizes that the size of the group determines the number of enemies, so staying with a large group might not be the best idea in this scenario. Meanwhile, an orc shows up to hunt the student council team. Jisoo and Hanho can hear their screams from outside the building. He feels relieved that they didn't join them. The three of them realize that being in a large group isn't always beneficial. Another notification pops up which indicates the arrival of the first orc wave. The group has to face 5 orcs in total. Hanho starts to panic as he sees them approaching and asks the MC for his plan. After thinking for a second, he smirks and tells him that he has an idea. He plans to set a trap using the cars and skeletons around them. As the orcs start moving down the road, one of them spots Hanho standing on a car, taunting them by calling them pigs. Furious, the orcs charge at him. Just before they get too close, a car door swings open and throws them off balance. That's when the MC and Jisoo spring into action. She pulls out her sword, and he uses his skeleton army, who were hiding, to attack. The skeletons hit the orcs from all sides, not giving them any time to react. After killing the orcs, a system notification pops up, announcing their victory. Sungwoo earns 100 gold for defeating the first wave and levels up to 4. He notices that he can now command a total of 7 minions, even though his mana capacity is still low. Meanwhile, Hanho is excited about his new high-speed /skill. The MC turns to Jisoo and asks her what she got. She explains that she picked strength, raising her power by 2 points and giving her a warm, fiery sensation. The MC tells Hanho to give back his sword and summons 2 more skeletons, getting ready for whatever comes next. He hands the sword over to a skeleton that reaches out for it. As they make their way out of the area, they realize that the entire city is in chaos. While walking, Sungwoo suddenly raises his fist and signals everyone to stop. In front of them, a bunch of orcs are attacking a bus, trying to kill everyone inside. The 3 of them peek out from behind a tree and spot 7 orcs in total. One of the guys inside the bus tries to hit the orcs with a spear, but it's not enough. The MC knows that they might all die at this rate. Jisoo watches as 2 orcs swing their axes for another strike, and says that they should help them. She suggests that they attack the orcs from one side of the bus, while the spear guy attacks them from the other side. However, the MC is doubtful if the spear guy will be brave enough to go against the orcs. He tells her that relying on strangers might not be wise in their situation. Just then, he points at a truck and says that they will show the orcs the convenience of civilization. Inside the bus, a blonde guy with a sword and shield shouts at another man holding a spear, criticizing him for not hitting the orcs. Kyung-soo Lee screams at him to fight the orcs himself with his own shield and sword. The passengers are trembling and crying since they all think they are going to die. To their surprise, the orcs stop hitting the bus and turn to see a car speeding towards them. The vehicle plows through, tossing 2 orcs into the air. Seeing this, the guys inside the bus are left speechless, unable to comprehend what's happening. The skeletons jump off the trucks and start attacking the orcs. One of the guys inside the bus is even more scared of these skeletons than he was with the orcs. After everything calms down, the guys inside the bus wonder if the skeletons are gone. Suddenly a skeleton appears at the window. The man drops his spear in terror and falls to the floor, screaming for the skeleton to disappear. Hanho knocks on the bus door, urging the frightened man to open it. The man sees them but is too terrified of the skeleton to comply, despite their assurances that they're human. After killing all the orcs, they leave the area. The scene changes to Hanho striking a vending machine with his hammer. Sungwoo turns to him and asks what he's up to. He smiles and raises his hand, winking as he admits he has no cash but wants a soda, so he's trying to break the machine. The recently rescued blonde guy approaches the vending machine, attempting to buy a Coke for Hanho, only to find it's broken. The MC scratches his head and asks the group if they should continue their discussion. He points to a machine and asks if it spits out items. Kungu nods, explaining that they tried it, but they had little gold so they could only use it once. He then glances at an old TV with a sticker reading, "If you need this, go ahead and take it," suggesting that following the instructions could yield an item. Suddenly the TV screen lights up, welcoming everyone to the E-Class store. Sungwoo presses the screen to browse the offerings. The store offers a chance to try their luck, with 3 reward tiers: bronze, silver, and gold. E-Class stores sell items up to the gold rank. As he browses the shop, Hanho and Jisoo ask him if the shop would actually work. He tells them that they have to try it if they want to know. Hanho has about 360 gold while Jisoo has 584. Our boy, on the other hand, has 1,552 gold, which means that he can try the silver roulette as well. However, he also has the unlimited rank roulette ticket, which allows him to choose an item of any rank. Hanho watches him in shock as he chooses the gold roulette option. His luck is great since he gets first place in the spin. For this, he receives a blue ball called the Tear of the Sea Spirit. It is a legendary class item that increases his mana by 300 and mana recovery by 200%. This was exactly the item he needed since he was facing mana problems. After the gold roulette, he decides to spend his gold on the silver roulette. This time he gets second place and receives a shield. Jisoo also gets second place and gets a skill called Leader of the Expedition Force. However, my man Hanho ends up with third place and receives some potions. He feels disappointed, but Sungwoo tells him that his potions might be useful later on. Jisoo informs them that the situation at the sports field is still ongoing, so they should probably help them. Hanho looks at the MC and asks him if they are going to use the same plan again. The MC smiles as he stares at the truck and reveals that he has something bigger in mind this time. Away from them, the student council group cries for help as it is being attacked by the orcs. Daesung tells everyone to group up and prepare to escape as he holds them off using his sword. One of the guys informs him of people who are trapped in the stands. He tells the man to ignore them since they don't have time to be worrying about others. He then orders Jin-seok and Hyungmin to lead the way since the 2 of them have shields. The group suddenly notices a bus coming at the orcs from behind. The bus destroys them mercilessly as the man sitting inside laughs like a lunatic. After clearing through the orcs, Hanho leans out of the bus and tells everyone to get inside. The players outside realize that they should have followed them from the start instead of staying behind. Jisoo also jumps out of the bus and comes face to face with an orc. She wants her revenge for the last time. As the orc tries hitting her, she blocks it using her sword. This time, her sword doesn't get pushed back. She kills the orc with her burning sword, and excitedly looks back only to see Sungwoo and his skeletons killing all the other orcs. She notices his incredible strategy of attacking the orcs while keeping his distance. This makes her feel a bit stupid since she only invested points into her physical strength to overpower orcs. As he continues tearing through the orcs, she wonders what he did before all of this. After killing the orcs, he stares at Daesung and asks him what he is doing here since he didn't want to be near his skeletons before. Daesung nervously laughs and asks him if he is going to hold a grudge against him in their current situation. The MC looks at him furiously and tells him that he saw him abandoning people and running away. He explains that he was just retreating and trying to reorganize his team. However, everyone on the bus knows that he is lying. As they are having this conversation, they see a notification about the orc chief being enraged. The MC immediately gets on the bus and tells Daesung that he will only be allowed to get in if he follows his orders. He orders him to hand over his armor first. He complains and asks him how he is supposed to protect his body without his armor. Sungwoo smiles and tells him that he has nothing to worry about since he will be under his protection. After they leave, he gets a system notification telling him that his level has increased to 5, allowing him to control medium-sized monsters. Another system alert informs him that the maximum number of monsters under his control has increased. He feels glad that he now commands 9 monsters. Suddenly he notices movement behind him and turns to see one of the skeletons wearing all the armor he took from Daesung. He wonders if it's too heavy for him to move. Remembering their past battles, he realizes this skeleton is more reliable than the others. He sighs and tells the skeleton to undress. The skeleton looks at him in despair while he puts on a chainmail over his white t-shirt. Manhua walks in and points at the crowd behind them. He tells him that they might need another bus if they want to keep rescuing more people. The MC tells him that they won't focus on rescuing others anymore. He walks toward the crowd with Jisoo and Hanho by his side, gripping the handrail as the bus sways. He tells the people they need to fight the orcs. A system window appears, declaring that the orc boss has initiated a global destruction operation, meaning the monsters will hunt the survivors until no one remains. Sungwoo looks at the crowd with hopeful eyes, reminding them that according to the game's rules, they cannot evade the orcs forever. They must defeat the boss to escape. A guy in a tracksuit with bandaged fingers raises his hand and tells them that he saw a lot of orcs in the gym. He estimates that there were a total of 100 orcs. This revelation horrifies the crowd, as the system alerts them to a penalty for imperfect teamwork. 3 new system alerts appear. The first states that at least 10 players have a level below 5, resulting in a reduction of movement speed and attack speed. The second notification reports that at least 10 players haven't killed a single monster, which decreases their attack power and gold accumulation. The third message indicates that due to the reluctance of the majority, the chance of a state of confusion has increased. Sungwoo sighs heavily, realizing that while they could defeat most of the orc army in battle, things have become clear to him. The crowd looks at him in surprise when he declares that he will fight the orcs himself. He believes that having a weapon is useless if one doesn't know how to wield it. Jisoo and Hanho try to stop him, but he tells them the same thing. The people in the crowd stare at him, puzzled, thinking that he might have gone mad. The members of the student council smirk as they discuss how this might be a great opportunity to eliminate him. Jinseok looks out the window, calling him a fool and predicting that he will soon die. Jisoo thinks that it isn't a good idea, so she tries to convince him not to go alone. He reminded her that when they were on the first floor, she said there was no point in sticking together. His skeletons alone are much stronger than most of the people on that bus, so it's not really useful to bring anyone along. Hearing this, Jisoo thinks to herself how his strategies are usually foolproof, but this time the stakes are much higher. As Sungwoo walks into the ground with his skeletons, everyone watches him from the university windows. His friends are inside the bus some distance away from him. They are here to rescue him if anything goes wrong. Sungwoo freezes in the middle of the field as dark figures of enemies emerge. The orcs descend onto the field with a roar, approaching him. Without warning, they start charging towards him. The MC analyzes the monsters and tries to pick out the orc chief. He doesn't really see any system messages, so he concludes that this must be a mid-level boss. The red orc raises his axe toward him and growls. He steps up to the stands, instructing his minions to move forward. The shield creaks as he lowers it to the ground. Positioned at the top of the stairs, he decides to hold his ground. As the orcs roar toward the stairs, the skeletons raise their daggers, preparing to attack. The MC immediately activates his wild berserker skill, increasing the strength and attack of the goblins. Instead of fighting at melee range, the skeletons start throwing their daggers towards the orcs. The daggers kill a few of them, but the boss manages to block them. The MC panics, realizing that his throwing attack has been blocked, and commands his skeletons to charge. He knows that this plan is suicidal. As all the skeletons get destroyed by the orc boss, Righty stares at it with flames coming out of his eyes. Sungwoo places his hand on the skeleton's skull and tells it to wait. The orc monsters smirk after they destroy all the skeletons. However, something suddenly smacks one of them from behind. Behind the orc stands an undead orc warrior who is now controlled by Sungwoo. A notification pops up, indicating that the teamwork has activated the first stage of the synergy effect. The MC gains access to the weapon synergy, which requires at least 5 axes. This effect boosts attack power and speed for the first 10 seconds of battle. The orcs struggle to fight back against the undead orcs since they neither bleed nor get tired. Sungwoo stands proudly on top of the stairs with Righty, and together, they watch as the army of undead orcs overwhelms the ordinary orcs below. Some of the students look through the window and stare in disbelief as they see the MC clearing through all the orcs on his own. Behind the frightened orcs, Jisoo, Hanho, and the bus driver also watch this intense battle. Jisoo's eyes widen in surprise as she recalls her last conversation with Sungwoo. She realizes that he has anticipated everything. As the MC glances at the system alert displaying his mana level, he feels a surge of happiness as it rises. He wonders if this is the power of a legendary item. Skulls float above the battlefield as another notification informs Sungwoo that the orcs have been weakened by the overwhelming scent of death, reducing their characteristics by 30%. Frightened, the orcs begin to retreat. However, their leader roars back, triggering a morale boost effect that halves the effects of the debuff. With a cry, the orcs charge back into battle against the MC. On the other side, Sungwoo's undead army is ready to fight the approaching orcs. Righty climbs onto the fence above the MC and rushes to back the rest of the undead army. As it runs towards them, it takes out its sword and starts slashing some orcs. Combined with the undead orcs, the skeleton charges at the enemy on Sungwoo's command. After finishing the orcs, the MC sits down on the steps, letting out a heavy sigh. A system notification appears before him, announcing that he has earned a lottery ticket for defeating 100 monsters. This achievement allows him to rank up to infinite status, making him the 21st player in the story to receive this honor. He realizes there are 20 players ahead of him who have already claimed this ticket. Suddenly, he hears the sound of a bus. Someone is trying to drive the bus away and escape. However, they hit the pink wall and it prevents them from leaving. Sungwoo gets annoyed as he sees the student president group being swarmed by the orcs. They were the ones trying to leave with the bus. They cry for help as the orcs try to kidnap them. Frustrated, he faces palms. He is upset that others disobeyed his orders and complicated the situation. As Sungwoo prepares to rescue the group, the other students are urged to join him as well. Even though he prefers to fight alone, he allows them to join him as long as they don't get in the way of his skeletons. He enters the building with 2 of his undead orcs. He can see the bodies of defeated goblins hanging from the ceiling. The inside of the building looks terrifying. The group halts as a glow emerges from the smoke ahead, revealing a monster with glowing eyes. Sungwoo holds the orb in his hands and questions if he is looking at the boss. He orders everyone to get ready since they are about to face the orc boss. The hostages are battered and bloodied, some even with knocked out teeth. The MC is somewhat relieved that no hostage is killed yet, but he is also confused since he didn't think that the orcs were intelligent enough to take hostages. The members of the student council look at him and beg for help. He glares at them fiercely and tells them that their current situation was the result of their own foolishness, and they also dragged other people into it. He is against someone who can't even understand him, so he decides to go all in and not show any weakness, since it can be dangerous for him. His plan is to confuse the orcs with a sudden attack and save the group. Out of nowhere, one of the orcs swings its axe and brutally separates the head of the student council president from his body. Everyone is shocked to witness this. However, the surprises don't end there. From the roof of the building, the actual orc boss shows up. He unleashes a strange spell that causes everyone to feel weak. The system sends multiple alerts to Jisoo indicating that she has fallen into a state of confusion due to the breath of the abyss, and her mana continues to drain. The orc boss finally makes his entrance. He is a junior-level black magician similar to a shaman. Hanho's hands tremble as he squeezes a bottle, attempting to open it. He drinks the bottle to restore his mana and even offers one to Sungwoo. However, he rejects it and tells him to give it to Jisoo instead. He grins, inhaling the streams of dark mana, finding the dark energy refreshing. Meanwhile, a system alert indicates that the breath of the abyss has significantly boosted his mana reserves, now exceeding 4,000. He understands why he feels so confident. The system informs him that due to the accumulation of abyssal breath, the effects of the first awakening are temporarily activated, significantly enhancing his characteristics and increasing the number of monsters he can summon. As he walks forward, his figure is illuminated solely by the glow of his mana, giving him a terrifying appearance. Imagine using black magic on a Necromancer. He continues walking towards the boss with a smile on his face and asks him what he did. The boss is reasonably confused since he didn't expect any of this to happen. Jisoo rushes after Sungwoo and says that they should all attack together, just like on the roof. Sungwoo lets out a creepy smile as his entire body seems to glow with overflowing mana. He declares that from now on, nothing will be the same. The undead soar into the air, and Hanho watches them as all the dead bodies on the roof start coming to life. His eyes stay wide open with shock as he stares at the numerous system notifications about different synergy buffs that they have acquired. Meanwhile, Sungwoo looks like an absolute monster who wants the boss to taste the true power of death. The orc shaman starts smashing all the undead warriors into pieces. However, a system notification appears revealing that there is a guaranteed chance to revive all these undead skeletons. No matter how many skeletons the shaman kills, they keep coming back. As he kills one skeleton, Sungwoo revives it instantly. The orc shaman starts growing tired. He stares at the MC who now looks like an absolute monster. My man accidentally turned into the boss. He asks the shaman if he finally understands who he is facing at the moment. He stares into his soul with his glowing eyes and tells him that it is the true nature of death. The shaman shrieks in fear as he doesn't know how to defeat the MC. He tries to retreat, but the undead army surrounds him from all sides. Sungwoo sees this and tells him that he is foolish to think that he can escape death. The poor shaman screams as all the skeletons leap at him from all directions. He tries to fight back, but the numbers are highly against him. At last, Righty delivers the final blow and puts him out of his misery. Sungwoo gets 1055 gold for killing the junior black magician. After killing the orc chief, Righty absorbs his mana and increases its rank. Sungwoo realizes that his minions have to defeat the boss in order to gain experience. He then opens up the list of his minions. He has a total of 33 skeletons, one of his which is a level 3 veteran. As he looks at the list, Hanho calls him and tells him that there is something coming out of the boss monster's mouth. As the MC takes a look, he realizes that it's an item. The item description says that it grants devil attributes to the user, and once equipped, it will require many sacrifices to remove. He doesn't really understand what the devil attributes mean, and assumes that it will likely be the same as his Necromancer class. He equips the item which grants him the devil attribute. It allows him to steal the enemy's mana with each attack. Suddenly all of his skeletons start crumbling back to bones as the effect of the orc shaman's spell wears off. The group goes back to the students who cheer them for defeating the boss. They call the MC their hero, but he doesn't really feel good about any of this since he has no need for other people. He knows that in order to increase his chances of survival, he needs to avoid getting too many people with him. Since the boss has been defeated, the seal finally breaks and the exit doors open. The students wonder if they can finally leave the area. They all start talking to each other, thinking about their next move. Some of them think that they should just continue following Sungwoo since it is their best option for survival. Hanho looks at his phone with a worried expression and tells the MC that it is happening all over the world. He wonders if his parents are alright. Hearing this, the MC thinks about his own parents. Suddenly a bus stops in front of them and Kyungsoo tells everyone to hop on. He says that he was a driver during his military service and he knows where the military base is. He is going to take the bus to the base. Sungwoo smiles and lies to him that he can't go since his house is nearby. Kyungsoo asks the rest of the students to hop on and reveals that they have brought 2 buses to accommodate everyone. Everyone except the MC's groups gets on the buses. The guy says goodbye to him and drives off. After the students leave, Hanho wonders where they will go next. He asks Jisoo where she lives. She tells him that she used to live in the school dorms since her own family lives on an island. She then asks the MC if she can stick with him even though she won't be of much help to him. He assures her that she will be helpful and lets her stay. Hanho asks him the same question, but the MC jokingly tells him that he needs to cut off one of his hands first to become a one-armed warrior like Righty. Out of nowhere, Jisoo pushes them both to the ground to protect them from something. As the two fall down, a giant dragon flies over them. The group looks at the terrifying creature not knowing what it is. Meanwhile, the bus comes to a stop and Kyungsoo notices several dragons following them. A guy screams at him to continue driving, but he tells him that it is more dangerous for them to continue moving right now. The dragons only seem to be chasing the buses which are moving. The system notification informs them that the boss Wyvern Alpha Male has appeared. The next moment, the dragon lands on top of the bus and rips it into pieces after flying it into the air. Sungwoo looks at this and realizes that he is nearly not strong enough for this world. However, he can become stronger. With his back turned towards Jisoo, he tells her that instead of avoiding the monsters, They are going to actively hunt them from now on.